Welcome back to Expedition Jack. Today you find me on the floor. I want to share with you the kit that I take for wet weather camping, bushcraft and all sorts. Not really hiking because this is more of it's not an ultra lightweight setup, and it's just to keep me dry in comfort and to just enjoy the outdoors really. But as you can see, I'm actually not touching that much on clothing on this one. I'm literally just touching on the waterproof outer clothing, so it's only just 2 pieces right there. So first of all, I'd like to talk about this bag. Now you've seen me talk about this bag before. I've done a full-on review here if you want to find out loads of detail. It's basically a waterproof water sports backpack, but it's got the sternum strap and the hip straps on a fully waterproof bag. It's just a roll top bag, very simple, very affordable, and it just works. It saves me messing about with loads of different little dry sacks. So it's one massive heavy duty dry sack, and that's all I need. Now, moving on to my sleeping arrangements, you'll be happy to know that it all keeps in one brand, which is Easthills Outdoors, and it's a tarp, hammock and down sleeping bag setup. Now before I get too far into this, I just want to let you know that I've included all of these items as links in the description so you can easily find them. So this mid-range down sleeping bag, I've had experience with it and it's very, very good for the mid-weathers. So not too cold, not too hot. These change over seasons like spring and autumn and when you expect it to rain, and this is why it's in my wet weather kit. The only downside to a down sleeping bag in a wet weather kit is that if you get it wet, it stays wet. I just want to put that warning out here. Synthetic bags are probably more suitable, or even wool blankets for wet weather. Then moving on to the hammock. This is a hammock with a built-in bug net, by the way. I got this just before I went to Brazil, and you'll see a lot of use out of it in Brazil. It was fantastic for that. I'll talk more about this in the Brazil kit loadout. Yeah, it just works. It's very comfortable. It's my first time with a hammock and love it. Then moving on to shelter, the all-important shelter, and this is a big tarp, and this comes complete with the bug net hammock kit. That's what attracted me about this kit, because it's a complete kit. It's not as light as a DD tarp, like a super light tarp, but it has the similar coverage and all the attachments are already on it. And in the hammock kit you also get the tree huggers already installed free, and the cordage. I have included a pad here, which is an old inflatable Karrimor pad. As you can probably make out on camera, there's a layer of insulation in each of the bellows, if you call them a bellow, where the air goes, just to keep it away from you. Now, I have tried this without it inflating, just to keep the wind off me, and that seems to work, but then you could just put a bit of air in it, as when using a down sleeping bag, you can press the loft, so you need something at the back of you to keep the insulation. I did in Brazil though, forget to take this. They did lend me a foam pad and that works perfectly well as well. It's just that I don't have a foam pad in this size. You see, this one is particularly ideal for a hammock because it's actually rounded on all the edges, which makes it very comfortable and sits right in a hammock. And seeing as the pad doesn't have a pillow included, I have to take an inflatable, very small compact inflatable pillow. I really love this. I think it's like a Trekology one, something like that. But they're just genius, really genius, and very lightweight. And because I've got a down sleeping bag as well, it needs a bit of extra care. You don't want to wash it. Well, I don't really want to wash it, so I like to use a sleeping bag liner. The most cheap lightweight thing I found on the internet. I think it's just like a polyester or nylon one. But it works, and you can just bung that in the washing machine instead of an expensive sleeping bag, to reserve my sleeping bag and make it last a lot longer. And now that's out of the way, we can move on to cordage. I always like to take extra cordage, even though the Easthills kit comes with cordage pre-attached. Now I bought this in red and it's got fluorescent bits through it to illuminate at night, so I don't trip myself up. Then I've got my seating pad, my ass pad for you American folk out there. But what's special about this one is that it actually folds up and it's a full pad. So it folds down really nicely, really lightweight. I always take it with me. I just use it as a great kneeling pad as well, just to save getting wet knees. Now, let's talk about lighting. This is the Runaac LED head torch. So seeing as we can't go camping at the moment, and unfortunately I broke the bloody light bulb in my basement, I thought I would test it out. I needed to go and get some wood down in the cellar and entirely lit my journey with this head torch. As you can see, it illuminates the whole room. So it's got a very high brightness on this because it's got 7 LEDs in it. So you can cycle through 4 modes, the brightest mode being all of them on at once, then just the center LEDs or the exterior LEDs. On these sort of arms that if you play with them, they look a bit like that dancing spider off of Discovery Channel. But they do work and they're really bright. It also has a flashing mode that you can use for SOS to attract people or even blind the shit out of people. If Dave the Mad Wanderer comes and finds your camp one night and you need to blind him so you can get away over the hills and far away. That was a tangent. And what's pretty neat for you cyclists out there is that there's actually a tail light, and whatever mode you're on, it follows the same sequence. The headlight itself is 120 degrees rotatable, all straps adjustable, and this can fit over your head comfortably or over a helmet if you want to go caving and do all that cool stuff underground. It is also waterproof, and the main thing for me is that it's a rechargeable torch, because I love my rechargeable torch. I don't want to go spending out on tons of batteries all the time. And the power pack of this is 5400 milliamp hour battery, which on the brightest mode can last up to 7 hours. So yeah, you just plug it into a USB and away you go. You can find the link for this torch down below. Snapping back to reality, we all need to carry a little medical kit on us. Now this is a little custom built medical kit that I made myself. This is a simplified version that I came up with when I went to Sweden. Hiker friendly, ultralight, got every little bit I need, but it's only a one chance thing. Bit risk, but at least I've got something other than nothing. And then not forgetting the all-important sleeping medicine. This is a titanium flask that I bought. And it has a nice dragon on it, so I quite like it. Very lightweight, carries a lot. I did pick this up in China though, so I don't know how cheap it is on the Western sites. Now this is my miracle freebie that I got from the Via Ferrata in Sweden. It's a carabiner with a loop thing that actually attaches to a water bottle, and I absolutely love it. So that's what I normally use to carry a smart water bottle, whatever water bottle that I get, full of water. And then if I want to take extra water, I've got another canteen up here, but that's just storage if I know that I'm going up on top away from water sources. Now this is my trusty water filter. This is the MSR water filter. I used to have the Soya Minis. The Soya Minis are still very good, but they just work on gravity. This is much more quicker, much more efficient, just to get drinkable water straight away, even though it is quite tiring. But the biggest plus about using this MSR is that you can actually take it apart and clean it when you get home. Those Soya Mini filters, you can't take them apart, or I can't figure out how to take them apart, and I can't clean it. So when I come to do my next trip, there's always water still in that Soya Mini, and I'm just so like, wherever there's water, there's bacteria. Where there's bacteria, there's baddies. More baddies to get you ill. So yeah, that's the biggest plus about this one, that you can clean it. Then following on in the kitchen department, I have my trusty spork, titanium again. And then my titanium pot that I got from a Chinese website as well, so there may not be a link for this as well. And it's really nice because everything, all my kit nests inside. So there's my gas bottle, my gas canister, my sneaky cup, sneaky cookser, and a BRS stove. It's the most small, lightweight gas stove I've ever found. Some people say they fail after a certain time. Mine hasn't yet. They are a bit risk with a full pot of boiling water on top because they are a tiny bit unstable. However, they do the job for the weight and it all nests really nicely. Now this is a cookser that I picked up from Sweden. I'll talk about this more later on after the Swedish series is finished, because you'll see where I picked this up. but it's genius. It's designed to actually fit in your pocket and carry around with you, so you've always got it. It's like a Swedish military kuksa, smaller version. And it's just good that this pot has handles. That's the main thing, that you don't burn yourself. You've got cool handles to access stuff. Then moving on to my bushcraftiness, well, actually just before that, let's have a look at my utility belt. This is the True Ways utility belt that I picked up from the Bushcraft show one year. Wasn't fussed about the colour. This is the colour they had left. They had one left in stock, and I just liked it really. I needed a heavy duty belt to carry the weight of my camera and all my kit. This is my trusty knife that I picked up from a Norwegian market. €20, that's all it cost me. And it's a Scandi grind, a genuine wooden handle with a bone hilt. Amazing. Then to top it off, I've got my trusty MCQ Firesteel that Mike gave me after I visited him. You can watch that episode here. You can watch my full-on review of this in the link above. Now I may want to do some building bushcrafty, chop some huge logs. This is the Bahco saw, hand saw, foldable saw, and it's really good, very, very affordable, more affordable than those silky saws. And I find the money you save getting this, you can just buy a new one when this blunts. Every saw, every blade blunts. That's the trouble. So I'm not going to spend time sharpening each individual tooth of a saw because it takes bloody ages. When this is gone, I'll just get another one. And as you see, this is my lovely Damascus steel Fellmark axe that you can watch a full more review that I did here. This does come with a few drawbacks, a few problems, and the biggest problem is that it rusts. Now for a wet kit, this is not suitable. So that's why I'm going to swap it out for a more suitable axe in a wet climate. This is the Hultafors trekking axe with a 13-inch handle, and it's a lot more resistant to rust. It does still rust, but not as the extreme as the Damascus steel. It's just a Damascus steel problem really. But this is a beautiful axe, more heavier, but it's brilliant for all jobs. It's big enough for the big logs, you know what I mean? But you've got to put that sheath back on to be safe. Always be safe with axes. Then moving on to my wet gear. As I said, I'm not going into clothing much. I'll probably do another video on summer clothing, hiking clothing. Also my wet gear. I've got tons of different wet gear. So these are the Berghaus Deluge waterproof trousers. They're great because they actually have a vent on the side. They're not the most lightweight, but they are fully waterproof. You'll be sure to be waterproof all in these. Like in my alternative ultralight version, it's sort of like a UL gear kilt, and your feet do get wet, but that's what you do when you go ultralight. They have a zipper down the side with snaps to secure the sides or even open them up for ventilation. Then my trusty red Jack Wolfskin coat. Jack Wolfskin is more on the pricier side, yes. I did pick this up because I literally had no coats at the time and there was a deal on at my local store. And I thought I would just treat myself, and that was probably 5 years ago now, and it's still going strong, still looks as brand new. Only around the cuffs it's a bit dirty, but hey, who knows. It does need waterproofing after so long and so much use though. Every waterproof coat needs waterproofing, so you wash it in your washing machine and you treat it with more waterproofing stuff. I did treat this with the Nix Wax treatment. I would not rate the Nix Wax. Nix Wax did not work for me at all. I popped into the Jack Wolfskin store, picked up their waterproof treatment and did the whole process again. Worked straight away, one treatment, and now it's waterproof. And I now waterproof treat it before any major trips once a year, just because of the amount of use it gets. And come on guys, we live in the UK, it's a wet country. It's bound to get diluted up on them there hills. And there you go, that is my waterproof kit. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, I hope you've took some value out of it, and let me know down in the comments what bit of kit you value, what bit of kit you would leave at home. And stay tuned to join the expedition. Thanks guys.